I'm not nervous of people feeling resentment towards their partner. We all hold blame for a whole range of things. And that's not the problem. The problem is not that you hold your partner to account, or that you wish they'd done differently or better in a certain circumstance. And it's not even a problem that you're battling to get over that, forgive them, let it go. The problem comes in where you battle to talk about it. Because we are all fallible humans. We get it wrong. We have blind spots, intentionally or unintentionally. We hurt each other. It's the nature of any long-term relationship, and even short-term ones. So resentment in and of itself is not an issue. What is an issue is when you battle to verbalize it, and you don't feel heard. If you can verbalize and you can feel heard, then resentment is no issue whatsoever. So what you really need there is a willing recipient and a willing giver. And then actually resentment builds more of a bridge than a rift, because you get insight into how your partner thinks, what things have affected them, why that is. But it takes quite a lot of emotional maturity for the person being accused of something to just sit in their partner's pain and validate their feelings without needing to be defensive about it. And the way that it makes the most sense to do that, and this is something I teach a lot, both in my practice and in relationship rehab online, is to listen like a shrink. And not to listen like the object of your partner's dissatisfaction or grievance. So, which is really hard to do. And I struggle with this. I watch people struggle with it, but I teach it nonetheless because I so strongly believe in it. That if I offend you, or if you're hurt by something I do, in all likelihood, I probably did do something wrong to some degree. There probably was something valid there, but it's peppered so much by what you come to make that mean, and what your historical experience around similar things might be. And so there is a real event that maybe I am a bit responsible for, and then also an emotional charge magnifying that. And so if we can sit together in your discomfort around something I've done, and understand it almost like a psychologist would do, then it's somehow quite disarming. You don't have to feel defensive. You don't have to feel on the back foot. You don't have to feel necessarily like just because I said you did something that you did. And that's before we even get into things like motive and intent. And very often the way something comes across is simply not what was intended by it. And so those kind of conversations can be really useful, where you listen like a psychologist rather than listening like the object of your partner's despair. And if I could go a step further, I know that often when I say to people, listen to your partner like a shrink, listen like a shrink, listen like a psychologist, it's a very natural reaction to say, but Debbie, I'm not a psychologist. I don't even know what that means. And I always then recall my professional training, where we studied a particular orientation in psychology. For reference, it's Rogerian therapy. But basically, all that is asked of a psychologist is that you genuinely respect the person speaking to you. You hold them in unconditional positive regard. So there's no judgment. There's just safety to be who they are, without judgment, without debate, and that there's warmth and empathy. So if you approach your relationship like that, warm, kind, empathic, and just allowing the person to feel what they feel without telling them they don't have a right to feel that, or their thinking is flawed, or their processing to get to that emotion is flawed. Without doing any of those things, I believe anybody can connect well in manner of how psychologists are taught to do it, quite deliberately. But empathy, warmth, kindness, genuine positive regard, and you can't really go wrong.